Good morning, it's Tuesday the 26th of November 2019. After yesterday's daily reversal hammer candle, we are starting to get a potential weekly reversal hammer candle. We'll check out our indicators to see what they're telling us about that. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin dominance and what that means with the cryptocurrencies with our bull market watch. And we're going to finish the episode with a special on alternative places that you can be growing your Bitcoin instead of just trading altcoins. All that and more on today's episode of the 24 Hours of Bitcoin. Before we get into today's episode about Bitcoin, I invite you to learn more about using your Bitcoin to trade the world markets like gold, silver, and particularly for my own part, platinum is making a wonderful bottom formation on the weekly view here. If you think cryptos have had a long winter, platinum has had a longer winter. And of course, the world supply of platinum probably is running out. This is a beautiful bottom formation, and you can use your Bitcoin on simple FX to trade with leverage on world markets, on all of the different Forex markets, and on a whole range of different equities from around the world. Phenomenal place to be checking out, and use your technical analysis for more than just Bitcoin. But for today, let's jump into our routine. We're going to go through the weekly and all the way down to the daily and short-term time frames. The main thing we're watching for on the weekly RSI is for it to come back up above these levels. If this is a good reversal candle here, we really need to stage back up above this RSI level on the weekly. Or we are going more bearish, and we should be looking at long-term sideways action. Let's move into the daily, and we have a pretty good divergence here. I gotta say, this is really shaped up really nice, where we've got a flat bottom here. That's a very strong bullish divergence right there. So that makes me want to pay much more attention to this after these technical levels. Really, actually, that's amazing. Why didn't I see that yesterday? Now we go into the 12-hour view, and here again we see this divergence and this divergence. I'm not giving it the world right now because we've got, lower lows here and higher lows here. That is a divergence. It sets up well with the daily. Let's see how this pans out over time. Let's move in now. This divergence is maturing more as the prices are moving along. It isn't definitive, this divergence. We have to see more things setting up with it. For instance, we saw yesterday, as this was setting up here, we saw the tiny little 1, 2, 3s all nesting in the short time frames here. But now we have that larger 1, 2, 3 that if prices are breaking above these levels, we have something more to sink our teeth into. But should they be falling below these levels, then what I'm watching for is all of these RSI levels that are making an uptrend right now to be breaking. Right? Every time it makes an uptrend and then breaks, we're going down further. So having a break of that RSI trend line is the main thing we're watching for. As you are trading, you're watching this specifically to see what it is doing as the prices move past these levels. Now let's go into the next indicator, on balance volume. And I'm just going to zoom in on balance. Is the volume buying or is it selling? So we're still in a selling swath right here. I'm not seeing that turnaround strong enough. Let's zoom in more. Here, this is the candle I was paying attention to yesterday. That was so awesome. To see this switch from below zero and change color before it crosses above is really important change of volume right there. Now I want to zoom in closer just to map out what the change of volume is, because it's the MACD on the weekly view is still negative, still bearish. Daily view is bearish, and yet for bulls who are looking for a straw to hold on to, this histogram pulling shorter is the beginning of a potential turnaround on the daily. So to see that is really important, but we're still in the downtrend. Go into the 12-hour time frame. What? Oh, right. So yesterday I was saying when this 12-hour flips over, I'm paying attention to that. The 12-hour is much more juicy than the 4-hour, but I really like to see that. The 4-hour, yesterday we saw that it was giving us the crossover as this was setting up, so the divergence is really setting in now. On the MACD and on the RSI, that divergence is getting more meat each hour as this is setting up. So as this is rejected here too, that is pretty good. Now when we see this all crossing to the positive and it breaks above these levels, the RSI is going positive and the MACD on the 12-hour is crossing. We're getting somewhere. Let's see what the Ichimoku cloud has to say, because really way back in July, it was already telling us where these lows were going to be, and it nailed it. I'm stunned actually, and love it. This is why I do these studies. So the daily really kicked my butt here. I thought it was going to be going up, and it didn't, but it told me that as we were setting up. So now I'm watching to see what it tells us. And later in the video, I've more information about how I've used this recent training that Ichimoku has given me, and I've put it into use on the altcoins right now. And I think it's phenomenal information. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame here, and the cloud is not yet turned positive. This hasn't given us the divergence that the RSI and the MACD are yet. So this is our confirming indicator from those divergences. This, on the 1-hour time frame, we do have a positive setup here, and it didn't turn negative as we pulled back here and bounced back up. The 1-hour Ichimoku is giving us the nod, and now we have a larger 1, 2, 3. It retested lower and failed this test here. So now as it goes up higher, that would be our signal. I like it. Let's go into a shorter time frame, because it was only the 15-minute and the 5-minute yesterday that were giving us some juice. The 1-hour hadn't turned yet. I'll have to review that to see, but the 5-minute and the 15-minute have taken a step back as we're going sideways, and they're just giving us less clear indications. But the 1-hour is good. The 4-hour is starting to move. We'll watch for that 4-hour to go. Now with the Bollinger Bands, I did review the video from the other day, and it was at the top of this band, it was even floating downward. Then yesterday we saw that it just took this little tick up to the corner there. I thought that's the first little bullish sign from this, and happening as we're coming down right to the very bottom of the band, we could have a mean reversion point right here with this hammer reversal. Let's zoom in. So if this does turn out to be a hammer reversal on the weekly, then we're going to see this move up sharply right now, and we'll be coming off of the 1-day band. If I go into the 12-hour time frame now, I still can't pick a trading signal out of this. Now, as it's crossing the 4-hour, so any one of these might have been a signal. I don't know which one's a good signal, but as it's coming up across the 4-hour midline, it is still finishing out the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation here for me. We're still finishing out a 1, 2, 3 bottom, and I can't get a signal out of this. And while not much is really clear to me on the Bollinger Bands yet, this narrowing band means that there's a big move coming. Let's study that and watch how it turns out. Now let's take a quick look at the longer term view of the longs versus the shorts. We have Bitcoin prices on both of these top charts. We have the shorts over here and the longs over here. So we can see quickly that the shorts really picked up through these periods here. As prices were making this consolidation, people thought it was going to continue to go down. The shorts really piled up here, and then they all got killed. Then through this top formation here, this formation, everybody piled on the short trades, and then they got killed. Then when we came to this top formation and we have this pissing off the roof formation, the shorts really didn't pile up like they did on the way up, curiously enough. And conversely, if we look over here back last year in November and December, as prices came down, the longs were really picking up, and they really picked up all the way through this right until this point, and then the longs got all scared, thought it was all coming back. They closed all of their longs and prices took off. Longs went down to historical lows right here at the beginning of May, just before the big takeoff. And so the longs are completely wrong, and the shorts are completely wrong. Generally, the crowds are wrong. And at the same time, we can see that longs are picking up again here. And now let's finish up with the most exciting information of all, is what is going on with the altcoins. This is the chart of Bitcoin dominance. And from May until July, Bitcoin dominance rose sharply and all of the alts took a real beating. Then, through July until now, the alts have separated themselves into different groups. Some of them did very well from this period, and some of them languished sideways. As you may know, we've been running the bull market watch on the cryptocurrencies for about a year. It's an extremely powerful and simple way to just log into the spreadsheet and see which coins should be in alert status or hold status. I find it's a fantastic tool, and the other day we had a member ask me, what do I think about WAN chain? And so I went over to the spreadsheet and I see that it was in hold or alert status here earlier, and it's been in hold status now for a while. Nice and simple. And you can see it more specifically in our pro alerts where we give entries and exits and stop loss targets. So we're really specific with these trades. But as Bitcoin dominance is setting up and we have so many bottom formations in altcoins, I wanted a way to separate out which of the coins are going to be a really good buy and hold strategy for the long term. For somebody who was putting in money and doesn't want to be a trader who's there to be jumping in and out of trades, but is looking for a diversified portfolio across the altcoins for a longer term investment. Would you agree with me that these technical indicators really should give us the inside information? As you've been following through this channel over the last while, you've been watching as the Ichimoku cloud and the Bollinger bands are playing their way out in our analysis. And so what I wanted to do is go through all of the altcoins that we are following in our bull market watch study, and I wanted to break them up into two categories: those that are making the bottom formations and look solid, and those that have come down to a bottom but then have gone sideways and haven't really got any action. I wanted to learn more. I went through all of the coins and I looked at them on the daily view of the Ichimoku cloud to see how are they looking out, because Bitcoin is in a really terrible spot here. But if I quickly go over and take a look at ADA for an example, this is a completely different Ichimoku cloud. This is really looking bullish. And so I went through all of the coins on Binance and I split them up into those that were looking bullish in the Ichimoku cloud and those that were not. Finally, you may know that we've been tracking the bearishness of Bitcoin by using the weekly view of the Bollinger bands. And so I went through all of the coins on Binance to see which of the coins are showing us a bullish setup, a bullish cross on the weekly Bollinger bands. And so many of them are coming down to this super narrow neck in the altcoins. It's an incredibly exciting time to see what these alt bottom formations are doing. So I went through and I graded all of the coins against the weekly Bollinger bands to see which are the coins that are above the band and already showing that they're in a bullish stance, and which are those that are sort of languishing along and may not do very much in the future. And so now we have a bunch of different lists, and I was able to break up and make a portfolio to measure all of the results. And so I created a portfolio to measure all of the results. What we have here is a static benchmark test of these different technical analysis tools to see how they're going to perform over time. So we have a benchmark portfolio of all of the coins on Binance. We have a portfolio of coins that are past the bull market watch test, those that passed the Ichimoku cloud daily test, those that passed the Bollinger band weekly test. Then I started combining them to filter things out to see what we could learn. Here are the coins that are past the bull market watch test, and they also passed the Ichimoku cloud test. Then I have another group that did not pass the bull market watch test. That is, they are going sideways. They are not making bottom formations that showed us some strength. And so I put those together into a list. Those that passed the Ichimoku daily test, but they didn't pass the bull market watch test. Finally, I have a limited group of all of the coins that passed the bull market watch, the Ichimoku, and the Bollinger test. Now we can see how many have winners and how many losers we have. We can see their performance in percentage gains from that specific day where I took the snapshot. Then we can see how each of these different portfolios are matching up against the standard, the benchmark. And you are right, I didn't talk about this one, I was avoiding it, I guess. This is the list of coins that did not pass anything. They didn't get into the Bollinger band, they didn't pass the Ichimoku, they didn't pass the bull market watch. These are the coins that supposedly should be dead projects that we should avoid. So now let's measure how they perform. I'll update this as we go along a little bit at a time, but if you want to have access to all of these lists to see which are the 68 markets that passed the Bollinger band weekly, which are the 31 markets that passed the bull market watch test and the Ichimoku, You can select down and set up your own long-term portfolio by looking at some of these technical analysis limited lists. And no matter how excited I am about the potential for the altcoins, let's finish up and take a look at a review of what's going on with the Bitcoin. So we can see that we do have a hidden bullish divergence on the 12-hour RSI. We do have a bullish divergence on the shorter time RSI, but we don't have enough turnaround on the longer term time frames to have our exponential moving averages giving us any kind of bullish turnaround yet. In the unbalanced volume, we can see a little bit of buying coming in, but it's probably not enough to hold things up. The MACD indicator is the most interesting to me right now, where we have a hidden bullish divergence of the crossover of the MACD, but most importantly, we have the 12-hour crossing to the positive again right now. And I really want to watch how that unfolds. When we go into the Ichimoku cloud, the 1-hour time frame was giving us a bullish setup, but it's pulled back a little bit. We need it to bounce off this cloud and climb, or we're going to be looking for a sell signal in the downtrend as the price comes up to the cloud and then bounces off of it and heads down from there. The Bollinger Bands could be in a mean reversion moment here in the weekly view, and we'll continue to zoom in and see if this technical level turns out to be a hold spot or another consolidation on the way down further yet. And I want to finish with a quick word here on platinum prices. For those of you who have taken my free training and you understand the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, we can see this is really setting up into something that is a great potential long-term position. And you can trade platinum using your Bitcoin over on SimpleFX. Click on the referral link in the description below and join us over on Discord, as our pro alerts now are covering more of the world markets as well. And that wraps it up for today's extended episode of the 24 Hours of Bitcoin.